Hello everyone and welcome to our channel. I'm Bee or Bumbles, and this is going to be different than most of the videos I'm in because I'm usually off screen, behind the microphone, off camera, and sticking to a script. But today I'm trying to get back to the root of why we originally started this channel and really tell my story. If you've been following us for a while, you've seen videos of us playing video games, playing with our cats, and a couple documenting my life with MS. But I never really got on here to explain what MS is. And if you've never heard of it before, that's okay because neither had I until after I was diagnosed. MS, or multiple sclerosis, is a very complicated central nervous system autoimmune disorder that affects the brain and the spinal cord. Your central nervous system is really the processing center of your body that controls every bodily function. It does this by sending signals from the neurons in your brain to the rest of your body. Those neurons are covered by something called a myelin sheath to protect them and seamlessly perform any function you may need. Now, since MS is an autoimmune disease, that means that your immune system mistakenly attacks that myelin sheath. So after several attacks of that myelin sheath, the signals from your nerves get disrupted. To give you an idea of what exactly this means, picture a phone charger. Imagine that charger gets bent and warped every single day. Eventually, that charger starts to only work every once in a while and then ultimately stops working altogether. Now, there are 4 different types of MS: relapsing remitting, secondary progressive, primary progressive, and clinically isolated syndrome. Relapsing remitting is where you have attacks or flare-ups, followed by times of remission where the body is not under attack. Secondary progressive is very similar to relapsing remitting, but results in more progression of the disease after flare-ups. Primary progressive is a far more extreme type of secondary progressive, in which you start off having extreme neurological disabilities from the time of diagnosis. Finally, clinically isolated syndrome is when you have MS-like symptoms, but do not end up with a lifetime version of the disease. If you've known me my entire life, you know that I was not always in a wheelchair. Growing up, I had a generally healthy childhood, and later on in high school, I had a fairly active lifestyle. I was in school band, which consisted of marching band, pep band, jazz band, and orchestra. I was also in the choir, which was not only a concert choir, but a show choir. And I also participated in the school musical every year from freshman year to senior year. Unfortunately, during my senior year, I contracted mono, and it was a particularly aggressive case. I was out of school for about a month, and it was very difficult to recover from. Once I did recover, I noticed some odd side effects. I would randomly forget my locker combination and have to rely on muscle memory to open it. Then sometimes I would go to the wrong class and have to quickly grab my supplies for the correct one and rush for next lesson. I kind of just thought maybe it was due to me wanting school to be over, and I didn't think too much of it. I figured I was ready to start my adult life as I had already been accepted to a college. I graduated in June and went to my college orientation. However, about a week before I was going to move into my dorm, I got this sinking feeling that I shouldn't go. I tried to brush it off as nerves because previous to that moment I was feeling really excited. But the feeling didn't go away, and I ended up calling my new school counselor to confide in her. She told me that many students felt this way and it was perfectly normal, but nothing she said alleviated my worries. After a long conversation, she said I had 2 options. If I changed my mind and wanted to come to school in a week, our talk would be forgotten and my spot would still be there. But if I truly didn't feel ready, I could take a year off and reapply in the fall. I felt so relieved and felt like a weight had been lifted off my shoulders. And ultimately, I decided to take a year off, which later that year I would be thankful for. In August of that year, I moved into a house with some roommates and started living my adult life. I was doing the typical things you do when you're first living on your own, just having a great time, meeting new people, and discovering some new things about myself as well. In December, I met Koala, the other half to this channel, and we became fast friends. Everything looked to be fine with my health, and I had no reason to believe that was going to change. The first sign that something was wrong with me actually happened when I paid Koala a visit. I walked through the front door, and all of a sudden, I was on the floor. It was like my legs just decided to stop supporting me. He quickly helped me get up and asked what happened, but I had no explanation. I just said I must have tripped on something, and that was the end of that conversation. Later on, I would learn that the cause was a symptom of MS called foot drop, but I wouldn't know that for a while. About a week after that happened, my life was about to be changed forever. I woke up one morning and my right eye was extremely blurry. I could see shapes and colors of objects, but I couldn't make out any details. I thought maybe I slept with my face against my arm, possibly scratched my eye. I wasn't sure. After dealing with that for a full day, I scheduled an appointment with an ophthalmologist. At my appointment, I explained my symptoms and he got this downcast look on his face. I asked him what was wrong and he said, "I don't want to scare you, but I think I know what the problem is. Let me finish the exam though to be sure." I agreed, and after he finished, he said he thought I had optic neuritis, but that he wanted me to get an MRI to confirm. I was shocked and I asked him what he was looking for. He said, "Now, don't panic, but I think you may have multiple sclerosis." I had never heard the term before and asked what that was. He explained it was a neurological disorder, but stopped himself after seeing the look on my face. He said that it was entirely possible that he was wrong, but to get the test done and await his call. But if I didn't hear back from him in a week, that no news was good news, and that was the end of that. He prescribed me steroids for my eye and sent me on my way. After a week of no news, I thought I was fine. My vision was back to normal, and I felt great. My sister had called me to set up a girls' day, and I agreed. We were out shopping, and I noticed I had a voicemail on my cell phone. I told her I needed to go check it real quick, and I walked to the front of the store. I called my voicemail and received the worst news of my life. I heard, "Hello, this is Dr. I wanted to let you know that we received the results of your MRI, and they are consistent with MS." At that point, I zoned out and I felt the color drain from my face. My sister must have been watching me because she ran over to me and asked what was wrong. I just said, shaking, "I have MS." She got this shocked look in her face and, not really knowing what to say, asked if I wanted to go back to my place. At that point, I snapped back into reality and I just told her no, and that I wanted to go to lunch like we had planned because I didn't even want to think about what I just heard. I texted my roommates the news and shut off my phone. The rest of December was a blur. I started seeing a neurologist that got me on a medication that ended up making me feel worse, so I stopped taking it. Now, it takes a long time to be approved for an MS medication, and there is no cure, so all the medications really do is try to slow progression. Over the next couple of years, I tried many more that didn't help either. By 2013, I was using a wheelchair when I would go to the store or longer trips, and would walk around fine at home. I started working out to try and slow progression, which at first helped a lot, but the disease was just too aggressive, and by the beginning of 2015, I was using a wheelchair in public and a walker at home. Then, by the end of 2015, I was using a wheelchair full-time. Now, almost 10 years later, I am not currently on any medications, and I'm in remission. It was a long journey to get to where I am now, but that's a story for another time. I do still struggle with some symptoms like fatigue, but I feel really good with where I'm at right now. If you made it to the end of this video, thank you so much for sticking around. I know it was a lot of information to go through, and I only hope I was able to provide some clarity on my life, and hopefully even give someone out there a person to relate to. I am hoping to possibly make this a short series and make more videos like this one. Again, thank you so much for watching.